Imagine a man who dreamed of a world where everyone is treated equally. Martin Luther King Jr. was a powerful leader who fought for civil rights using nonviolence and hope. In his famous "I Have a Dream" speech, he inspired millions to work for justice and peace. His life shows us that one person's voice can change the world. Join us on Discover English Stories as we explore the journey of Martin Luther King Jr., from his early life to his lasting legacy that continues to inspire us today. Chapter 1. Early Life and Inspiration. Have you ever wondered how a young boy grows up with a dream to change the world? Martin Luther King Jr. was born on January 15, 1929, in Atlanta, Georgia. He grew up in a loving family where his father and grandfather were pastors. From his earliest days, Martin learned about love, fairness, and the importance of treating everyone with respect. His family taught him that every person deserves kindness and that standing up for what is right is very important. During his childhood, Martin saw many examples of unfair treatment. In his community, African Americans were not given the same rights as white people. He witnessed segregation and injustice, and these experiences made him sad and determined. Even as a young boy, Martin dreamed of a future where all people could live together in peace and equality. He listened to stories of heroes who fought against injustice and felt inspired to follow their path. In school, Martin was an excellent student. He loved to read and learn about history, religion, and the struggles of people who had to fight for their rights. His teachers noticed his talent for speaking and his natural ability to lead his classmates. These early lessons helped shape his ideas about justice and nonviolence. Martin began to understand that the power of words and peaceful actions could change society. As Martin grew older, he faced more challenges that showed him the harsh realities of racism. He saw how discrimination hurt his friends and neighbors. These painful experiences did not break his spirit. Instead, they filled him with a strong desire to make things better. He believed that everyone, no matter their skin color, deserved a chance to live with dignity and freedom. Martin's early life was a time of learning and growing. His experiences at home, in church, and at school helped him develop a deep sense of purpose. He decided to become a minister, like his father, so he could guide people and speak out against injustice. His faith gave him the courage to dream of a world where love and nonviolence could overcome hatred and inequality. In this chapter, we see how Martin Luther King Jr.'s early years laid the foundation for his future work in the civil rights movement. His childhood, filled with lessons of compassion and the desire for justice, inspired him to use his voice to bring about change. Martin's simple belief in fairness and equality grew into a powerful dream that would one day inspire millions around the world. Chapter 2. The Beginnings of a Movement. How does one voice spark a movement that changes a nation? After finishing his studies, Martin Luther King Jr. began his work as a minister in the South. In his community, he saw many African Americans treated unfairly. People were not allowed to sit where they wanted on the bus, and they could not enjoy the same opportunities as others. This deep injustice made Martin very determined to fight for change. In the city of Montgomery, Alabama, the treatment of African Americans was especially harsh. People were forced to sit in the back of the bus, and they had to give up their seats to white passengers. This unfair rule was common and hurt many families. Martin Luther King Jr. and other community leaders decided that they must stand together to fight this injustice. They organized a peaceful protest called the Montgomery Bus Boycott. For many months, the African American community stopped riding the buses. They chose to walk or share rides instead. Their actions showed that when people work together peacefully, they can challenge unfair rules. During this time, Martin began to speak at local meetings and churches. His clear and kind words brought hope to many. He told people that nonviolent protest was the best way to win freedom and justice. Martin's calm voice and strong ideas inspired others to join the fight for equal rights. The boycott grew, and more people began to believe that change was possible without using violence. As the movement gained strength, Martin Luther King Jr. became a leader not just in his city but in the whole region. His gentle yet powerful approach showed that love and fairness could overcome hate and injustice. Many who had lost hope found a new spirit in his words and actions. The early days of the civil rights movement were full of hard work, courage, and unity. People from different backgrounds came together, driven by the belief that every person deserves to be treated with dignity. This chapter reminds us that big changes often start with small, brave actions. Martin's early work in Montgomery was the spark that lit a fire for justice across the United States. His leadership taught us that standing together in peace can lead to powerful change. Even though there were many challenges, his determination helped build a movement that would eventually transform the nation. In these early moments, we see the true power of community and nonviolence. Martin Luther King Jr.'s beginnings as a leader show us that one person's dream can grow into a movement that changes history. His work in those first days inspires us to believe that every step, no matter how small, can lead to a brighter future for all. Chapter 3: The Power of Nonviolence. How can peaceful actions change the world? Martin Luther King Jr. believed that nonviolence was the strongest way to fight injustice. He learned from great leaders like Mahatma Gandhi that peace could win even the toughest battles. For Martin, nonviolence was not a sign of weakness. It was a powerful way to show strength and courage. In his work for civil rights, Martin chose peaceful protests over fighting. He taught his followers that violence only leads to more hate. Instead, he showed that calm and peaceful actions can bring people together. Martin believed that when people act with love and respect, they can change the hearts of their opponents. This idea was simple but very strong. It helped many people see that the fight for justice did not need bloodshed. Martin's peaceful approach was tested many times. When people were treated unfairly, he organized peaceful marches, sit-ins, and speeches. One of the most famous examples is the Montgomery bus boycott. Instead of fighting on the streets, the community chose to stop using the buses to protest unfair rules. Their peaceful action sent a clear message to the world: injustice must end. Martin also spoke at many rallies and churches, telling everyone that nonviolence was the only way to create true change. His words were calm, clear, and full of hope. He believed that if people could learn to treat each other with kindness, the world would be a better place. His speeches inspired thousands to join the civil rights movement and work together in peace. The power of nonviolence also showed itself during difficult times. Even when faced with violence from those who opposed him, Martin stayed calm and peaceful. He taught that responding to hate with love could break the cycle of violence. His commitment to nonviolence helped build trust among his followers and brought many people from different backgrounds together. This unity was very important for the movement. Today, Martin Luther King Jr.'s message of nonviolence continues to inspire people all over the world. His idea that peaceful actions can lead to real change is a lesson for everyone. Modern leaders and communities use his teachings to resolve conflicts and bring about positive change without fighting. In this chapter, we see that Martin's choice of nonviolence was a brave and smart way to fight for civil rights. His peaceful protests and calm words made a strong statement against injustice. Martin's example reminds us that even when the path is hard, choosing peace can open the door to a better future for all. Chapter 4: The March on Washington. Imagine a moment when hundreds of thousands of people gathered together, united by hope and peace. In August 1963, Martin Luther King Jr. led one of the most important events in the civil rights movement, the March on Washington. This peaceful protest brought people from all walks of life to the nation's capital. They came to demand equal rights and justice for all. On that bright day in Washington, thousands of people filled the streets. The air was full of hope and determination. People gathered from different cities and states, all united by the dream of freedom. They carried signs, sang songs of freedom, and prayed for a better future. Their message was clear: everyone deserves to be treated fairly, no matter their skin color. At the center of the march was the Lincoln Memorial, a symbol of freedom and equality. Here, Martin Luther King Jr. stood before a massive crowd to speak. It was at this moment that he delivered his famous "I Have a Dream" speech. His words were calm and powerful. King spoke about his dream of a world where children of all races could play together, learn together, and live together in peace. He painted a picture of a future filled with hope, where injustice would end and love would rule. The speech touched the hearts of everyone who listened. People felt a deep connection to his vision of a better world. For many, this was the first time they truly believed that change was possible. The message of nonviolence and unity was strong. Martin Luther King Jr. showed that even the simplest words, spoken with passion and sincerity, could inspire millions to work for justice. The March on Washington was not just about one speech. It was a powerful display of solidarity and courage. Men and women, young and old, stood together to support the call for civil rights. They knew that peaceful protest was the key to creating change. Their unity proved that when people come together, they can challenge unfair laws and traditions. This historic event marked a turning point in the fight for equal rights in America. It brought national attention to the struggles of African Americans and forced leaders to take notice of the demand for justice. The spirit of that day continues to inspire people around the world. Modern leaders and communities still look back at the march as a shining example of peaceful protest and hope. In this chapter, we see how the March on Washington and the "I Have a Dream" speech became symbols of hope and change. Martin Luther King Jr.'s words reminded everyone that the journey toward equality begins with a dream. His leadership on that day showed that unity and nonviolence can light the path to a better future. The legacy of the march lives on as a powerful lesson in the strength of peaceful action and the enduring power of a shared dream. Chapter 5: Challenges and Sacrifices. How does one leader stay strong when the road is full of danger and loss? As Martin Luther King Jr. continued to fight for civil rights, he faced many challenges and made many sacrifices. The journey to equality was not easy. King and his followers encountered violence, threats, and deep personal pain. Yet, he never wavered in his belief that nonviolence and love were the keys to change. During the movement, King was often met with strong opposition. Many people in power did not want to see change, and they used force and harsh words to stop the protests. King was arrested several times, and he received many threatening letters. His home and office were even targeted with bombs. Despite these dangers, King remained calm and peaceful. He believed that fighting hate with more hate would only make the situation worse. Instead, he chose to meet aggression with courage and hope. The struggle for civil rights was tiring and painful. Many peaceful protests turned violent when police or counter-protesters used force. Innocent people were hurt, and the community felt the deep sorrow of these events. King watched as his friends and fellow citizens suffered, and this hurt him deeply. Every setback was a heavy burden on his heart. Yet he used each challenge as a reason to work harder for justice. King's work also affected his personal life. His family had to face the same dangers he did. His wife and children lived with constant worry about the threats surrounding their leader. Although he loved his family dearly, King knew that the fight for freedom meant putting the needs of his people before his own safety. His sacrifice was great. He gave up a normal life to stand up for what was right. In the midst of these trials, Martin Luther King Jr. taught his followers that true courage is shown when we stand firm even when we are scared. His commitment to nonviolence was not a sign of weakness, it was a choice made with great strength. King believed that even in suffering, one could rise above hate and continue to build a better future. His willingness to endure hardship inspired many and helped unite people from all walks of life. This chapter shows us that the path to justice is often filled with pain and sacrifice. Yet, King's determination and gentle spirit remind us that change is possible when we stand together. His example teaches us that the fight for equality and freedom may be difficult, but it is a noble and necessary journey. Through his challenges and sacrifices, Martin Luther King Jr. left a legacy of strength, hope, and the power of peaceful resistance. Chapter 6: An Enduring Legacy. How can one man's dream change the world long after he is gone? Martin Luther King Jr.'s life and work continue to inspire millions of people around the globe. Even after his death, his dream of a world where everyone is treated equally lives on in the hearts of many. Martin Luther King Jr. showed that courage, nonviolence, and hope could bring about real change. His powerful words and peaceful actions helped end segregation and open doors for equal rights in America. Today, people still study his speeches, especially his famous "I Have a Dream" address, and learn from his strong belief in justice and equality. King's legacy is seen in many ways. New laws and policies have been created to protect the rights of all people. Communities have come together to fight against discrimination, using peaceful protest and dialogue just as Martin taught. His work paved the way for many social changes, and his ideas are used in schools, colleges, and organizations around the world. Modern leaders and activists continue to look up to Martin Luther King Jr. His example shows that even in the face of great obstacles, one person can make a difference. Today, movements for human rights, social justice, and equality often reference his teachings. His belief in nonviolence and love remains a guiding light for those who seek to bring change through peaceful means. In our everyday lives, we see King's impact in how people work together to build fairer communities. His message encourages us to stand up against injustice and to treat others with kindness and respect. Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream of unity and equality inspires new generations to imagine a better world, a world where differences are celebrated and every individual has the chance to succeed. His story is not only a part of American history, it is a global reminder that change is possible when we come together with a shared purpose. The legacy of Martin Luther King Jr. lives on in the hearts of those who believe that peace, fairness, and love can overcome hatred and division. His journey reminds us that every small act of courage can create ripples that change the world. As we close this chapter, let us remember the enduring spirit of Martin Luther King Jr. and carry forward his dream of equality. His life teaches us that while the struggle for justice can be long and hard, the power of unity and nonviolence can light the path to a brighter future. Thank you for watching our journey through the life of Martin Luther King Jr. His dream of equality and peace continues to inspire people all around the world. We hope his story has shown you the power of courage, nonviolence, and hope. Remember, every small act of kindness can make a big difference. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe to discover English stories for more inspiring tales. Leave a comment below with your thoughts or how MLK's message inspires you. Stay curious, keep learning, and together we can create a better future. See you in the next episode.